Evening, everybody, and welcome to Just a Little Bit in our special Wednesday run of Proclaimers of Heroes. I'm your narrator, Evan, and I'll be guiding our adventure tonight into the mists of legend. Proclaimers of Hero is a homebrew hack that we've made together using the Cortex rule system, inspired by mythology, Hercules and Xena, Percy Jackson, and many more of those really awesome ancient Greek-inspired pop culture moments. Our players will be taking on the roles that are a little bit different from their usual job as adventuring heroes. Instead, for Proclaimers, they're going to be taking on the roles of Mouseai, mortals chosen by the Muses, goddesses of the arts, to serve as their agents in the mortal world. Each Mouseai is charged with following the will of the gods and augury of the oracles to find those who will one day be lauded as heroes. Mouseai are to help arm and prepare heroes to fight monsters, do great deeds, and take their place amongst the legends. To get us started for tonight, let's have everyone introduce themselves really quick and let you know a little bit about the Mouseai that they're going to be playing.
Hi everybody, I'm Bandit. I use he, him pronouns. I'll be playing Phoebe, who uses she, her pronouns. Phoebe works for Calliope, the muse of epic poetry. So she's going to have some fun kind of meta sensibilities and luck abilities. And for her personality, she's kind of a cynical seer. So we'll see how that goes.
Hi everyone, I'm Chase. I use he, him pronouns. I'll be playing Christos, who also uses he, him pronouns. Mouseai of Thalia, the muse of comedy. Kind of a quirky, sarcastic, professional rent boy.
Hi, I'm Joey. I use they, them pronouns, and I'll be playing Antigone, who uses she, her pronouns. She's a lipstick lesbian from Lesbos by way of Sparta, and also former priestess of Artemis, sorry. And she works for Melpomene, the muse of tragedy.
Hi, I'm Tay. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. I'll be playing Nico, who also uses he, him, and they, them pronouns. And Nico is powered by Erato, the muse of... We're tweaking a little bit. Muse of romance. Nico is sort of a bit of like a wandering poet who loves love and also has a lot of relationships that sometimes get him into trouble.
And I'm Zach. I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Theodora, who uses she, her pronouns. She is... her muse is Cleo, the muse of history. And she's a rich girl who, kind of the black sheep of the family, was sent away because, she was going to cause scandals. And she's ready to kind of tear things down and shake up the system because she thinks it's not fair to everyone.
Kill the patriarchy.
Basically, she's got a list.
Well, thank you for introducing everybody. Thank you for joining us for tonight's adventures. Like I said, we're using our own hack of the Cortex system. So if you're interested in learning more about what Cortex could do for you, it's a really awesome narrative system. You can find it at cortexrpg.com. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy tonight's adventure. Your sandals kick up small puffs of dust as you trod the packed earth path that trails away from the bustling streets of Athens under a quickly warming sun. The sea breeze rolling in from the nearby coast alleviates some of the heat and carries with it the fragrant scent of olive trees as they circle around you and their leaves make a soft rustle in the breeze. As you pass down the path, you see an older man moving from one of the many stones that lines the walkway, to another, carefully cleaning them off. You know these to be gravestones of the once lauded citizens of Athens, lining the way to your destination, the Academia. It is one of the most learned halls in all of Greece. The Academia has their gates open to poets, philosophers, scholars from across the land. As you take a turn down the pathway and several of the trees sort of move out of your vision, your eyes fall upon your destination. You can see before you a rolling lawn that leads up to gates that have probably long since forgotten how to close, as they're almost always left open. And not only does the breeze carry the warm fragrance of olives, but it also carries the distant sound of the musical of lyres, and the strident words of a scholar who's busy at lecture underneath one of the nearby trees, a circle of students listening on with rapt expressions. The Academy of Athens is a vaunted bastion of learning and the arts, a place of great power for your patrons, the Muses, the goddesses of the arts, who've bid you to come here to learn more of your next quest. The call has gone out for the Mouseai to serve their duty as heralds of heroes, and a new story awaits. What would you like to do?
So, Evan, remind me, we all know each other, right?
Yeah, you are all aware of each other, and you're together.
Okay,
We've
so you don't
all
have to do the
arrived
whole
together.
bump into each other, meet at a tavern. Cool,
No.
cool.
Oh, hey!
The gods have saved us from the awkward 20 minutes to half an hour of introducing each other in a tabletop game.
Are the track athletes practicing?
There is not a ton of track athletes in this area. You do see that there's a couple of people probably showing off to their admirers further down the lawn, obviously playing some kind of sport or game.
Are any of them like?
Anyone need a rub down?
All right, a 7 or better. I will say, as you look over there, you do indeed see that there are 2 of them that are very attractive, a man and a woman, who they seem to be in competition with each other, and it looks as though that they are practicing for the discus. And you, from their general body language and sort of the energy that you're reading from them, it looks as though they're in the middle of a very heated, like trash talk session before they get started for the next round.
And did we get any sort of like clue what person we're looking for here?
You did not. You were only told that the call had gone out from the Academia and from Athens for the Mouseai to appear.
I would say Theodora, kind of walking with y'all, looks hella tired because she's probably up way too late, either on her own personal quest trying to figure something out or up late drinking. Does she? I'm assuming the minute I see kind of like the person who's teaching, like I have that moment where like you see like my face kind of like my eyes narrow and I'm just like, oh, what a bastard.
And I see, as you get closer, you can hear the words of his lecture, and you realize fairly quickly he's a stoic, expounding on the importance of being stoic in the face of any of life's many challenges.
How boring. Theodore, do you know this one? Does something character building need to happen?
Oh, I mean, I look closer. I'm like, I don't know if I know this one specifically, but like, aren't they all terrible in the end? So
They're stoics. They're a dime a dozen this century. Can't wait for them to all die out.
it can't come soon enough.
I assume Phoebe's just like bringing up the rear, kind of like looking through some reading material, just like trusting the group knows where we're going, so just gonna like follow behind and kind of in my own world a little bit, but I will.
That was the wrong decision. I do not know where I'm going. But I'm gonna find somewhere anyway.
I never really
go to no school.
I never really understood the purpose of all of this pomp and circumstance around learning.
Okay, first of all, learning is important. Second of all, I agree. All of this, though, this pomp and circumstance is bullshit. It's just a bunch of old white men getting money to teach people the same things they've been teaching each other for years.
I find it faster just to read things anyway. Why listen to other people when you can just learn things from a book?
So I'm gonna walk over to where the athletes are all just trash talking each other.
Yeah.
And I want to find somebody who's like lacing up their sandals or like chalking their hands and just like plop down next to them.
Okay, so you see a younger Grecian man who is sort of at the edge of the crowd of people who are getting ready to go up, and you can see that he is like tightening up his sandals, and he has one of the discuses just sitting next to him on this like thick grass. And he looks a little nervous as he's like looking over at the others too. It's very clear that the man and the woman that are arguing right now are probably the ones that consider themselves to be like the alpha athletes, because they're taking up all the space and like they're in the middle of like specifically barbing each other to try to see who's like the better athlete. And he just sort of keeps looking over at them nervously. And then whenever somebody from that group looks towards him, he like looks away really quick, like, ugh.
So I'm literally just gonna like sit down next to him as he's getting ready or whatever. And
I'm sorry. Am I in your way?
No. I'm just visiting. Those two seem kind of full of themselves, and I was hoping for somebody who wasn't quite just a balloon of hot air.
Oh, yeah. Athos and Melita have that air, have that kind of aura about them. They've been at each other's throats ever since we started at the Academia last year.
So they're not even like the big shots.
Well, they're from some pretty big families in Athens, and they don't really see eye to eye.
Gotcha.
I would steer clear of them if you can help it. They're not always the nicest.
I mean, people usually get what's coming to them if they're not that nice.
I suppose that's true. I just I do my best to steer clear of them. They can make your life difficult.
Good to know. Is there anybody else to keep an eye on around here?
And he like looks around and he's like, "Well, are you a new student? Did you just join here?"
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on what track you're on. Some of the philosophers can run a little long. Professor Darius can be I mean, you can get a lot of sleep in his classes, I suppose.
And that's the one over there talking right now.
Yes, that would be Professor Darius. Yes.
Yeah, I'll definitely avoid that.
Okay, but besides that, most of the other scholars they're not too bad. They're usually really involved in their own projects. But if you can help them to learn something interesting, maybe they'll make time for you.
Good to know.
Yeah. Because I'm assuming, and he like looks you up and down, I'm assuming you're not on the musician track?
I could be.
Do you have any instruments with you or anything?
I mean, depends on how
He's got one.
and or R-rated this podcast is.
PG-13 for now, please. Thank you.
Then no.
And then he like looks to you and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my manners. I'm a Melon."
I assume we fist bump, handshake, wrestle. I don't know. How
More or less.
Hi. Christos, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, little like very like Hercules hand clap situation. Yeah, secret handshake. Nice to meet you, Christos. Yeah. I mean, it's been fairly quiet here the last few weeks. We've been preparing for a bit of well, it's a local festival. You're not Athenian, I assume, right?
I've spent a good bit of time here.
Well, it's the local festival where every year we run from the city to the Academia, and they light the torch at the Temple of Prometheus. Whoever wins the small games we've been doing the last few days, which currently it's a tie between it's not a tie, but it's pretty close between Melita and Athos, gets to be the one to drop the torch at the very end.
Well, I mean, what's stopping you from being the one?
Oh, I mean, I'm okay as a runner, but like I'm pretty decent with the discus, but like my family's not that important.
I mean, who cares about your family? You can rise above your stature.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like to make waves if I can help it.
I mean, rocking the boat can be plenty of fun.
Now, I will ask you at this juncture, would you want to have a contest to convince Melon that he should participate and put his name in the ring?
100%.
All right, since it's a contest, you're going to go first. And for those of you who haven't used Cortex before, everyone has character sheets with the various dice and traits that they use. And then I'm using a mod for this one called a Doom Pool, which is how I set the difficulty for all of our challenges. As characters have what's called hitches, essentially where they roll ones, I can buy those bad dice from them and make my Doom Pool grow worse as things get more complicated. Or over time, they can get rid of my Doom Pool. So it's sort of a net the better they do, the less troubles they face. The worse they do, the more troubles they face. And sometimes if you want to make a hero really stand out, you need a little trouble for them. So it's going to be a system we're juggling here. So I'm going to take my Doom pool, and I'm going to say that for this challenge, I'm going to set it as 2d6s. And Christos, what are you going to roll against my Doom pool?
I'm going to roll my Logos, my Proclaimer of Heroes.
And for those watching, Logos is one of Christos' attributes. We set them based on the attributes of more of an ancient Greece world. Logos is your ability to influence others using the power of your word. And then Proclaimers of Heroes is one of Christos' distinctions. They're one of 3 traits that define Christos as a person that they can use for a bunch of different situations as a stand-in to like skills. So we don't have a firm skill system. Instead, we have distinctions serve as like a backup for us.
And then it's not one of my best stats, but I think it's the one that fits the most. I'm going to go with my Arete.
Arete? Okay. And Arete would be Christos' value. In particular, Christos' belief that they have a way of being perfect, whether it's the perfection of a specific goal, job, what have you. It's a very important ancient Greek value.
Okay. So my best score is a 9.
All right. Which beats my 4 and is the very first heroic success of the night. So one of the mods we're using, snaps for Christos. One of the mods we're using is heroic dice. At any time one of the Mouseai defeats my Doom pool by more than 5, they get to take a dice from their own pool and cache it for later. And what that means,
I didn't use.
And what that means is at a later point, Christos can pull up that little bit of good luck and bring it back to help them in the future, or because their muses can pass that on to their future hero to make sure that they are able to do better, perform more successfully, essentially.
You got a D10?
Yeah, I rolled a D10 and I only got a 2
Nice.
so I used my D8 and my D4.
Let me double check hero notes real quick. I want to make sure I'm doing that one right. Because either you get one of mine or you get one of those. So let's just...
the useful tips. Heroic dice come from heroic successes. When you beat the goal for a roll by 5 or more, you bank a heroic die equal to the highest rolling die in the opposing dice pool.
Okay, so you get one of my D6s then.
That's fine. It's not as good.
Gross.
And I would say that at that point, you have won. I'm not able to defeat you. So you see Melon sort of... it's very clear isn't used to getting this kind of attention from a handsome and swarthy actor as Christos is, and sort of like instead of wilting underneath it, like preens a little bit, and it's like, well, I am pretty good at the discus, and like they've both been acting like they're the best out there, but I've seen Melida throw, and she doesn't got a great arm, and Athos is really more, and like you look at Athos, and he is definitely like that big, muscly, jacked kind of guy. He's a little bit more like a wrestler, and that's not one of the competitions we're doing this year.
See?
It's a lot more about accuracy and agility.
So it was basically written to be your time.
I think you're right. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my hat in the ring. And maybe if I'm lucky, Nike will smile on me.
This is where I just pull a pair of like Satan's shoes out of the future and give them to him.
Yes, thank you. And for those of you watching, be prepared. The muses, as they are tied to the arts and the pop culture of the world, can see art throughout the ages. So we are free to make pop culture references that nobody else in that time period is going to understand, but the muses will, and maybe some of the gods.
I was gonna say, I think that's all I've got over here.
I think while this is all happening, Phoebe, from a distance with the group, is vaguely noticing, because she tends to notice a little more than she lets on. If I just kind of like glance around, specifically at Melon, and give like a little metasense look. Can I do that at this point?
Yeah. And so remind us what metasense is, as it's one of your powers.
Yep, so one of my blessings from the Muse of Epics is players in the story, which is basically the ability to kind of tell who the, in our setting, who the heroes and other kind of important characters, so to speak, are.
So you take a moment to tap into your blessing, and as you do, it's sort of a surprise. It's something that you've felt a few times before. As you get in tune with the flow of the story, you can hear what sounds like the scratch of a quill across parchment, sort of in the back of your mind. And as you look at Melon, for a moment, he is faded into the background, which is very often the sense that you get when somebody is not a part of the story. But as you see Christo sort of give him some kind of like inspirational speech, there's this little shimmer of gold around him, and you realize that something has changed to make him a part of the story. It is faint, but he has a sprinkle of potential.
Just as I thought, as Mouseai, when we interact with the story, we bring a certain relevance to it. And this is Phoebe, like, muttering out loud to herself, so if anyone...
Fun as that is, we need some directions. Give me a moment. And Antigone's going to go walk over to the stoicist, the, stuffy professor.
And that is why, in the face of the many trials of life, you must remain unattached, for they will not move you. You should instead be immovable, like the great stone.
Antigone, so for those watching, Antigone has like a mane of black curls that's always lit wild, and her lips are always stained red, but no one's quite sure if it's wine, blood, makeup, or some combination of the three. And the dress is very like the Marilyn Monroe sewer grate dress. And she walks over and sort of pushes the hair off her shoulder and goes, "Well, that sounds boring. If I might interrupt, could you tell me where I might find the head of the academy? I have some questions."
And the lecturer, as he's going on and philosophizing, stops for a second in surprise and looks at you, and you can see that he's an older man with a thick, bushy white beard, head starting to go a little bit bald on the top, and wrapped in like a loose tunic, loose toga. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, young lady. I'm in the middle of an important lecture."
Don't get stuffy with me. Your academy's the one who put out the call for me to come. I'm just trying to get where I'm needed.
Can't imagine why we would need someone of your stature.
The head of the academy. You can tell me and I'll be on my way, or I can stay.
And you can see him fume a little bit. You can find Euphemia in her office at the main building.
Was that so hard?
And turns back to the class, and you'll see here a classic example of the sort of trials that could prevent you from staying focused on your goals. I find that if you stay focused on what's important, they will go away.
See, that's the funny thing about tragedy. Sometimes it comes in like a lion, and sometimes it festers. I'm debating if I really want to smite this bastard, or if I just want to be on my way. You know what?
Meanwhile, Theodora is...
Fuck it. Flavor. I'm gonna burn a plot point.
Okay.
And you suffer as I suffer.
Okay.
So, as I'm saying, or sometimes it lingers. I'm gonna look him in the eyes, and he is suddenly, for a moment, overcome with paralytic emotion. In this case, insanity.
Okay. So you are using your connection to the muses and the connection to specifically the powers of tragedy to inspire in him and control his emotions to inspire paranoia.
Yeah. And in the back of his mind, he just hears, in Antigone's voice, I would like to talk about Madeline Ashton.
And you see him, he just sort of lets out like a, and like looks around wildly, leans down and scoops up whatever you assume would probably be like his effects and a couple of scrolls and starts dashing like a crazy person across the lawn back towards one of the buildings for the academy. And the students look around like, what just happened?
Antigone is going to take his place under the tree for a moment and go, see what repression does to you. If I may. See, the wonderful thing about the trials of life is that they make the moments that are happy all the sweeter. Because if everything was just calm and stoic and perfect all the time, how would you know what life was? And then just going to walk back to the group.
And several of the students are like unsure but clapping.
Gets back to the group and all Antigone says, I've officially lectured at the academy.
Nico has
Euphemia is this way.
Nico has this big grin on his face right now, and it's just like, I hate stoicists. They take the fun and passion out of everything.
Theodora comes up and like gives you like a hug and kind of kisses you on the cheek and is like, "I will buy you a drink tonight."
So you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. He just ran off.
So I assume you're going to head into
collect
the academy.
Christos and go to the office.
You collect Christos, and you, as you do, Melon sort of sees your friends showing up essentially to take you in. And goes, thank you so much. I appreciate your help. I guess.
Yeah, I look forward to watching you compete later. And
I would
a wink.
I would like that.
And then ancient Greek equivalent of like writing my number on his hand.
There is
You just write a phone number on his hand?
Yeah, literally just 867-5309. Give me a call.
And not knowing Arabic numerals or speaking or English, it just is like what? Bye, I guess.
He's like, "Is this a blessing? What is this?"
As you leave, you cross through the gate. So there's a small stone wall and then like a larger gate that lets you into the academy property, proper. As you cross through it, you hear a voice from behind you. Well, they certainly didn't understand undersell how disruptive you can be. And as you sort of turn back to the voice, you see there's a tall woman, very lean, dressed in the garb of an Athenian soldier. So a heavy breastplate, greaves and arm guards to cover her, and then a large bronze helmet with the horsehair crest that goes along the back in the light white and blue of Athens. You can tell she's a woman only by the gentle curve of her figure, because the armor is pretty all covering, except for obviously the legs that are open for the greaves. And behind her is a large shield that bears the crest of the Athenian army. And you can see there's a Doru spear sitting against the wall. As you turn to look at her, she pulls the helmet off, and a thick tumble of dark brown hair falls around her shoulders and reveals a face that's handsome, sort of the kind of thing that would show up on a statue, with a single cut down one cheek and deep dark brown eyes.
Euphemia?
Nope, that's definitely not me. The name's Kara.
Oh, forgive me, I'm sorry.
I've never
My name's
been
Antigone.
mistaken for an academic before. I'll take it as a compliment.
All that nice professor told me was that I'd find Euphemia inside. I just saw you and assumed, why not?
That's fair. Euphemia is the one that helped me tend the call-out, I guess you would say.
Oh,
that'd be
you're
us.
looking for our help.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Then you're the one we're looking for anyway.
My patron encouraged me to look to the help of the Mouseai. I was warned you could be a little disruptive, though.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, by the way, you might want to have someone check on that professor. What was his name again?
Darius.
Yeah, he seemed a little skittish.
I'm sure he'll be fine. But if I had my guess, I assume you've... And, like, turns to look at Christos. You've affected one of those small local feuds between Melita and Athos. And there's a new contender in the ring.
I mean, isn't that why you brought us here?
I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing both of them sent back with sour grapes. But the matter I wanted to talk to you on is a little bit more serious. Perhaps we should have a drink and talk about it.
Lead the way.
She leads you into one of the halls that definitely seem to be serving like the people who make the Calvi Academy home. And there's a wooden table set sort of tucked up against a colonnade, so that you can see outside and there's fresh air still blowing in. And there's a large stoneware vase or amphora full of wine. She takes a seat and pours each of you some wine and lets you get comfortable. And there's a fairly decent modest lunch spread between the middle of you, all local Athenian goods. And she plucks a grape and eats it and sort of looks at all of you and takes a sip of her wine. She goes, well, I recently moved up in the Athenian army, and unfortunately I don't have as many soldiers at my command as I would like to. We've been sharing a little bit of a back and forth with one of our neighbors, and as a result, we just recently took over a town that we've sort of been trading the last few years. A couple of months ago, by the name of Oropus. It's a port town with a fort. We control it now, but I don't have the men I would like to send out there. In particular, because I've been hearing some disturbing things. And she sets a scroll down on the table between you and rolls it open. She's like, I've had reports for the last few days coming in, one after the other, about some kind of large bird or strange creature attacking the townsfolk. In particular, it seems to be poisoning the land. They've already reported that a number of their fields have gone sallow, and nothing will grow. And that several villagers have been set into some kind of paralysis. They won't respond to any sort of attempt to get their attention. Even the local priest hasn't been able to get them to respond. Unfortunately, I don't know that the priest is blessed in a particular way. And those who I have access to who do have blessings are already out in the field, dealing with the conflict.
So Christos has gone over to a table, not the one that everyone else is sitting around, and doing his best, paint me like one of your French ladies pose on the actual table. And is literally just gonna take a bite of an apple or something, and then look over and be like, wait, so we're not just gonna hang out with a bunch of hot college people?
And she looks to you, and as you're doing that, laying on the table eating the apple, you see two of the servants walk by, and they do that thing where they're walking by but continue to stare as they've walked past you. They're not used to seeing somebody just being let me lounge in all of my glory on this table and enjoy an apple. So the vibe you're getting from them is a little they're both interested and confused, which is probably an experience Christos has had a lot. And Kara says no. Although I don't have the transportation for you lined up yet, so if you wanted to entertain yourself for a little while, I'm sure that would be fine. I should have a transportation for you in the morning to take you out to Oropus if you're willing to take on the job.
Antigone's gonna cross one leg over the other, and their legs peeking out of the slit of the dress, and then no one else but Kara can see it. But strapped to Antigone's upper thigh, she can just start to see the peak of a hilt of a blade. And take a sip of wine and go, and you're hoping that we're going to kill this creature for you?
No. I understand your jobs as muses. My lady, my patron. Let me know that since those I would normally call on and myself are not able to go directly, you could see about finding an appropriate replacement. I was unaware you got your hands dirty. And she looks down at the knife and looks back at you with a bit of a little concern.
With how long Antigone's legs are, it's a sword.
Okay.
It's real. There's some trigonometry down there.
Come through, Naomi Smalls. Look at you.
Yeah.
Nico's
Every day is leg day.
Nico's gonna lean forward and go, "Oh, Antigone loves to get dirty."
You just get smacked. It hurts. Needs must. Sometimes the hero just
Sucks.
that.
Fair.
Or, sometimes they need a bit of character.
My patron, she let me know that there was somebody who would fit the bill in the town of Oropos. And in particular, there's a temple near there, the Amphiarion, dedicated to one of the ancient heroes. There's an oracle there. They should be able to give you everything that you need. And she clinks the bag onto the table and pushes it across. This should cover you having to make any of the appropriate sacrifices to get the favor from the oracle.
Antigone's gonna do the reverse of the bend and snap and the lean and pick it up and then pass it over to Cleo.
Theodora?
Oh, sorry, Theodora.
I was like, "Who's Cleo?"
I mean, it's first session. I'm sure I'm gonna call people the wrong name a few times.
Oh yeah, I reach over and
Pass
I
it to Theodora and hand it to you. So, well, sounds like a fun time to me.
I think at this point,
You just don't make professors you can terrify.
seeing that, okay, we're waiting for the morning, is just going to get back up, still apple in hand, take another bite of it, and just go, sometimes it's better when the hero sucks. And then find athlete boy.
All right. So if you return, you do find Melon is currently up for his discus throw. He does that low spin, and with a little oof, sends the discus hurtling into the air and flying out towards the far field. And you can see that pretty quickly. You can see that the look on the woman Melita's face is one of chagrin as the discus flies well past where you assume hers fell. And then the man, Athos, has this moment of it's not going to get far enough, looks really hopeful. And then for whatever reason, as it's starting to dip down, just sort of catches the wind and bounces up a little bit. And then you can see him stomp his feet and start to swear. And two of the people who are with him are like, "Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. You can still win this."
There we go. Did my part.
You did.
Starting fights.
Melon sort of turns back and pushes the hair out of his eyes. That's was kind of falling down after the discus throw, and is like, "I did it! I won!"
Congratulations. Does that mean you won all of it now, or?
Well, there's a foot race after this, but if I win the foot race, I should get enough points to take the win.
Do you think you're gonna win? I mean, I don't think Athos is gonna win, but.
I mean, it's going to be tough. Melida's a pretty fast runner. Her whole family works and takes care of a lot of the messages through Athens.
Does he look like he has good sandals on?
Looking down, his sandals are a little bit beat up and threadbare.
I'm gonna reach into my bag of holding and spend a plot point and pull out pristine, perfect, crafted for Hermes sandals.
They just say Hermes on the side.
They do say Hermes on the side.
Oh.
And they are diamond encrusted on the top.
Oh, we're getting real fancy up in here. And he goes,
It's not that fancy, it's just rhinestones.
"What are these?"
Hey, for you.
Oh.
I think you could use something just as good as everybody else.
Well, that's really sweet of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And I'll lean in, give him an appropriate hug for good luck, and be like, "So when's this race?"
Well, it starts in about a half hour.
Perfect. So for a half hour, you're gonna take some nice calm, contemplation time, and then you're gonna win this race.
I guess, yeah.
And then I'll do the go get him sport slap on the ass.
Oh, and he looks at you with surprise, and then kind of touches his butt, what? And then, thank you. And then he leans in towards you, he goes to step away and then leans back in, and he's like, "My room is the third from the right in the main academy hall," and goes and then leaves.
And then Christos is gonna just find a place near the track and just lounge and be just there.
Cutting back to we haven't heard much from you, Nico, and much from you, Phoebe. What are your two characters up to right now?
Yeah. Before we take the gold from Kara, but I'm just gonna hang back and be like, I'd like to know where we're getting our information. So you've mentioned your patron. I assume it's one of the big ones, and give her a little bit of a knowing look.
And she kind of takes a moment to look around, and you can see that there's a couple servants moving through the area, but none of them are super close. And she goes, "My patron is exactly who it should be, Pallas Athena."
Okay, I mean, that's good to know. That's a better option than it could have been.
That's fair. Yes, unfortunately, as one of my lady's agents in the world, it's my responsibility to make sure our army takes care of the people of Athens. Unfortunately, Oropos came under our jurisdiction only a couple short weeks ago. I haven't been able to give them the resources that they need, and these attacks are concerning. It's important to us that we make sure that everybody under the umbrella of Athens knows that they are under our protection.
Well, it's usually good motivation for the hero if, they have a little bit of an emotional tie to the place they're guarding. So it's probably better that we go find one from a homegrown hero. Those always play a little better.
Fair. I leave the discovery of heroes to Mouseai. I will say, several of the men and women who work for me were discovered by your compatriots, and they have proven themselves to be true legends. So I have high hopes for whoever you find in Oropos.
Oh, that's what we do. We find people and we make them great, even if we have to do the work and retell the story after.
Well, I wish you luck. And perhaps you'll be fortunate enough to have Athena guide your hand if you ever find yourself in trouble.
Thanks. I find myself pretty lucky pretty often.
Good to hear.
I think
and walking away, Phoebe's just gonna be pulling a pen or something out of her large pile of hair on the back of her head and scribbling down some notes.
I think during this time, Nico is probably going to wander off into the quad area or whatever is most like a quad.
Mm-hmm.
And just wherever there's a decent concentration of people, he's just gonna sit down and he probably has is it a lyre or a lyre? Lyre. He probably has some sort of lyre, and he's going to just start strumming a little melody and singing a little bit.
It's Wonderwall.
It's Wonderwall. As you're strumming your lyre, probably for a song that no one in ancient Greece has ever heard before, you're it's toxic, it's going to be huge. Just wait. I don't know how you get the opening to Toxic on a lyre, but I'm sure Nikos could figure it out.
Blink, 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 another blink. Blink, 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 blink.
But as you're playing, you kind of come to a natural point in the song where it gets quiet for a second, and you just hear a deep sigh.
A sigh is like a siren call for Nico.
It's like fucking catnip.
As you turn and look, you see that there is a somebody dressed as also very similar to Kara in the garb of probably an Athenian soldier. The gear isn't quite as nice. It's definitely more of a hand-me-down armor and gear, but they are standing sort of tucked against one of the walls looking out at the academy. and looking at the students. You can see that there's another man who is one of the scholars who has several scrolls spread out on one of the tables and is like furiously scribbling and sort of mumbling to themselves with like intense concentration. You can see that the guard is sort of just staring at him with, it's not quite cartoon heart eyes, but it's definitely a look of like,
there's a tiny storm cloud above their head.
Yeah.
Nico will sort of like, I don't know, that like meandering walk, like make his way over to the guard and do like a little like spin on his heels and go, "Tough day."
And like the guard like turns to look at you. It's sort of like you can see him trying to get his posture back. Like he stands up a little bit straighter, pulls his shield in, makes sure his spear isn't leaning over, and is like, "Oh, hello, Academy student. I guess yes, a little bit."
Sorry, what I was about to say. I was like, care to share anything?
Well, student, right?
Do I look like a student?
I mean, you're here, and you have a lyre, so I assume you're also a musician?
Yeah, I am a musician. It's nice of you to notice.
Well, you see him over there?
Him? And Nico will like point to the wrong person purposely.
No. The one at the table writing.
Oh, that cutie over there, yeah.
He's a poet, and I'm just like, what's a good way of getting a poet's attention? Like, as a scholar, like serious. Like, how do you get them to take you seriously?
I mean, I think talking to them might be the first step.
But like, what if we don't have anything to talk about? I'm a soldier. Like, I did not come from a family that knows anything about all of this.
It seems to me like you can talk. You're talking to me right now.
That's different, though. Like, we don't have anything in common.
I think you'll find that everyone has a little bit more in common than you might first expect. What does he usually write his poetry about?
Well, he's been on a real kick about, like, just like nature. He's really observant. Like, the way he talks about the rainstorms that come through here sometimes, they're really beautiful and it's very moving.
I think that's a good starting point.
But what do I even say? Like, how do I even start a conversation?
I mean, if he likes rainstorms, why not bring up rainstorms?
I guess I could start with that.
Or if you know any good poems, you could say you've seen him working on some poetry and you thought you could share if you know any about nature.
I mean, I have sort of been looking up some other poetry since I've been listening to his.
See, you got this. And Nico will like do a little nudge.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I could do this. I could go over there and say hi. I mean, it's not nearly as scary as some of the things we have to do as guards. Yeah, I can do this.
What's worse? Maybe fighting for your life or just saying hi to someone?
Yeah, thanks for the advice. And he starts to like head over towards the set of tables.
Can I activate one of my distinctions to help him if he's gonna do something?
Do you want to try to actually like use one of your roles to help him out?
I do.
Yes. So what I can say is that if you wanted to give him like a temporary asset, you could do that by making a roll, and I will set the difficulty for that asset. So since this is a normal test, as you're trying to like give him some of your experience, because you do have a background as the like Cyrano de Bergerac of ancient Greece. I will roll, and that is a 10 difficulty.
Okay. So wait, how am I supposed to do this?
So you would roll like you're rolling against a test pool. So you would get one of your attributes, one of your values, one of your distinctions, and then if you have any other like signature abilities or resources you want to burn for this, but you would always have at least those 3: attribute, value, distinction.
Okay, so I will use logos because it's expressing inward thought. I will use voice behind the face because that is Nico's ability to... Nico has spent a lot of his life helping other people to express their thoughts through poetry, song, etc. So Nico will use that once I find a D8, wherever it is. And then I'm going to say Nico's going to use Arit. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Arit. You're the striving for perfection in like your craft, essentially.
Because Nico feels very strongly that they're supposed to help people find love.
Aww.
Well, this poor sap is not finding love. I got a 9.
So you got a 9 as your total. Don't forget that you can spend a plot point to add another dice to your total. Do you get any ones?
No ones.
No ones. Okay.
Yeah. I'll spend a plot point. I'll spend a plot point and add my 2, so it's an 11.
11. And do you have any other... You only rolled the 3 dice, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so with the 11, you... For a moment, you're trying to figure out like how best to psych him up, and you're about to give him some bad advice, and then you're like, ooh, no. It's a scholar, it's a poet, like you definitely don't want to lead with the pickup line that they're going to know is taken from like some other poet. Like you need to make it sound interesting. So you give him some good advice, and he's actually going to go in with an asset. So you have given him an asset to use. I will say that because this was you holding up your value as a essentially a wandering romantic, you can get a plot point back for role playing this experience.
Party.
And you see them strike up conversation, and fairly quickly you can see them sort of like the poet who is face down, like looking like writing all the scrolls, looks up, and as the soldier like tries to kind of a little awkwardly open conversation, but then takes a deep breath and like rolls out with you from the distance. You're like, that was a good opener. Like you see the scholar like laugh a little bit, and then they start to engage in conversation, and the scholar like lights up and is immediately like, oh, come sit, and like folds out some of the poetry, and you can see him reciting some of the poetry to the soldier, who is listening with the look of like complete rapt attention. The kind of focus you can only have when you're like, you're so pretty and everything you talk about is the best thing ever.
Nico will like wander within earshot and sort of plant himself down and just strum like some mood music to like serve as a background for their flirting.
So the question would be, what is the mood music that you're playing?
You are Mouseai.
Ooh,
What's the vibe? What's the genre?
La 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 kiss.
I'm going a little more subtle than that. I think I'm going kind of no lyrics, like acoustic-y on the lyre this time. Almost something that's like vaguely Album Leaf like.
Okay.
I was gonna say, do you know do you know La Habanera from Carmen?
No.
I went in a very different direction than everybody else.
But hey, I'm going to say we are proclaiming this an LGBTQIA+, and that is a gay reference. So Success. Because I know what
She knows opera.
I was gonna say I'm there with you. It's a moment. It's a mood.
Opera is not my forte.
If you remove the lyrics, because the lyrics are all about how like sort of love is a flighty tempest and nothing that you should mess with, the music is something that's very much what you're describing. It's da 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 da.
So as you're playing this song and you see the two lovers start to or two potential lovers start to have what looks to be a very successful conversation. They get a little bit closer as the young scholar shares poetry and the soldier sort of listens on with rapt attention. We kind of fall into one of those like montages where your song continues to play, and we cut over to that moment where the young man we spoke to previously, Melon, is bolting across the finish line, a little bit sweaty, but that good sweaty where he's just kind of glistening and dewy. And everyone starts to cheer as he breaks across the line. You can see in the distance behind him Melita with a look of like angry chagrin on her face and no sign of Athos anywhere in the race. He bursts through, and you can see him sort of like cheering and jumping up and down. And he turns and makes eye contact with Christos, and Christos sort of does the like, "Come this way," and you can see them wander around the corner as the scene shifts back to Antigone, Phoebe, and Theodora, who are all currently like engaged in conversation, enjoying the last of the wine from the wine that you had gotten from Kara. And that's where we fade away into the evening as love blossoms on the in the halls of the Academia. That is not the direction I expected the adventure to go, but I'm here for it. Matchmaker.
Hey, I drove a man insane, so balance.
You know what? That's right. You did drive someone insane.
I got paid and I put bullies in their place. Like, it's what I'm here for.
Ever the romantic. So night fades. So night comes in, and we fade out to black as everyone enjoys a lovely evening at the halls of the Academia. And as morning dawns, you find out waiting for you outside a caravan headed for Oropos. And what we go into is sort of like that smash cut of like number of scenes of you on the road. At one point, you can see we cut to Theodora fleecing some random traveling merchant for as she's making a deal over like some of his goods. And like misquoting prices for like the local currency.
Getting away with like way more than I should have for like the small amount of money I actually gave.
Yeah, you're like, here's 3 coins and I'm gonna take this entire pile of stuff.
And even if they said something,
No, we need to take a break.
Huh?
We need to take a break. The mouse just ran into my door and is in my closet.
Oh no! Oh, no.
I need help.
The mouse just broke into your room.
I could see the fear cross your face, and I was like, "What happened?"
All right. For those of you watching, we're going to take a quick break to deal with a mouse going into our roommate's room. We'll be back in like 5 minutes or so. This is a great time for you to stretch your legs, get up, do your thing. If you're interested in learning more about the game that we're playing, the rules that we're basing it on are Cortex RPG. You can find them at cortexrpg.com. Or you can also find out more on our Twitter. Thank you very much. And we'll be back in just a few minutes, hopefully with one less mouse.
Use your sword, Antigone!
It's truly time to summon heroes.
Be brave, Joey.